Let's jump over to somebody who's equally as repetitive and full of shit and just clarify something about Bidenomics. I got a half hour, and I think we can debunk some anti-Bidenomics shit. How about that? Let me jump right in. Fucking hell. The only problem with the Trump bullshit these days is that it's the same lazy talking points, only slower and more disconnected. Ugh. So here we go. Let's jump right into this. This is Glenn Beck. I know you're very disappointed that we jumped from that to.
All right, we have Carol Roth with us. Carol Roth is a good friend of the program and also the author of You Will Own Nothing. Former investment banker, now cares about Main Street.
Former investment banker, now tweeter.
Carol, how are you?
Doing well, Glenn. You seem a little feisty today, and I always enjoy feisty, Glenn.
Yeah,
so this should be good.
Well, I tell you, the Cookie Monster really pissed me off today because there's no way that that's a coincidence. That's coordinated propaganda from the White House.
Well, I feel like
you wouldn't want to, I don't know, connect what the fuck he's talking about to the clip.
Cookie Monster was the one who got it right. Cookie Monster's not the one who blamed the corporations. I believe it was Joe Biden, right? He just said that his cookies were getting smaller because of shrinkflation.
Right.
And I think that makes him a better economist than anyone in the Biden administration or in the New York Times, for that matter. But
that's exactly what the White House said. Like, he can't be right and Biden be wrong if they're both talking about the exact same thing, dum-dum.
The reality is that this is a Biden talking point. So they picked up on this and they said, no, Cookie Monster, shrinkflation is happening because of the greedy corporations.
So today they're launching something. And Carol, I want to get your read on this. This seems a little terrifying.
It's terrifying. Yes. And by the way, anytime you can express concern over what the Cookie Monster is saying, your version of terrifying has to have an asterisk next to it.
Joe Biden today is launching a new task force to take on unfair and illegal corporate pricing, which Biden sees as a major reason why consumers are not yet feeling the impact of a cooling inflation rate. The task force will jointly be led by the Federal Trade Commission and the Department of Justice, two agencies at the forefront of the Biden administration's aggressive regulatory agenda over the past 3 years. Wow. What are these illegal, what did they say? Illegal pricing.
Illegal and unfair pricing.
Yeah, okay.
I'll tell you what it is. Okay, you want to know what it is? Here you go. You got a candy bar, costs a certain price. The candy bar stays the same price, but it actually gets smaller. And on the packaging, it says now extra super good or with more peanuts or whatever the fuck. So they give the illusion that it's actually giving more value for the same price when it's actually doing the exact opposite. It's false advertising. And that's illegal. If you don't believe me, you should talk to Mike Pillow, because that motherfucker got busted by the Better Business Bureau and then later on was sued and then, was, I guess, effectively he got busted for this scam with the idea that every time they do an ad, and call now, and there's a special deal where you get 2 pillows for the price of 1. Except the deal never ended. It didn't matter when you called. It was always running. Therefore, it's not a sale. It's a manipulation. If it's always that way, then that's the price of the fucking pillows. That's always the price for it. If there's a legal window where they say act now and you'll get 2 for the price of 1, that they literally can't take calls after a certain amount of time after that because it's not a sale. You can't, if it's always on sale, that's just the fucking price.
Unfair is anything that Biden says doesn't go along with his narrative. And he's really talking out of both sides of his mouth, or perhaps mumbling out of both sides of his mouth.
Okay, old person joke. If you're talking out of both sides of your mouth, then one of the sides she agrees with, and that's the problem that they have.
Because on one hand, he's touting how much the economy is growing, that things are going well, that wages are increasing. So if that was the case, corporations should be doing better. And there is no...
Yeah, but doing better and cheating customers is not the same thing. Or maybe it is to Carol and Glenn.
Corporation that is making any sort of outsized profits. Things like shrinkflation and what's happening are downstream issues from the inflation that the Biden administration caused and certainly the Fed caused.
Oh, the Fed caused? How did they do that? By putting too much money into the system? Carol, we're still operating on that one, are we, Carol? We're still going with that, Carol? We're going with the idea that there's too much money in circulation? Then explain to me the value of the dollar. How do you have too much of something and its price goes up? How do you have too much of something and its value increases? When does that ever happen?
So to now say we're going to have a
Oh, it happens in Fox World, I guess.
task force that is going to look up unfair and illegal pricing practices. Illegal is one thing, and there's a certain definition, at least today. Who knows what that could be expanded to?
Well, they're not expanding it. The law is the law. And if they find that people have been doing it, then they will bust them, and it will make these companies think twice before they try something to see if they can get away with it.
But unfair is obviously anything that they don't happen to like or agree with or is against their policy. And one of the
Yeah, because Trump never uses unfair in how he describes things. So what is the standard, actually? Rigged and stolen?
things that we know in economics just across the board is that price controls don't work. That's something that creates rationing, it creates goods shortages, even
and a black market.
Yeah, black market for full-size Snickers bars. What the fuck?
Even Paul Krugman, who gets every single thing wrong, the one thing he has ever gotten right is he is against rent control, which is one of many forms of price controls. So even he kind of gets the fact that price controls don't work. Everyone pretty much across the board agrees with that. But now they want to come in as the government and step in and say, oh, you're earning too much of a profit. We don't like what you're doing. You need to lower your
prices.
That's not
what they're doing at all.
We're imposing this different world upon you. And that is a recipe for disaster, and is obviously completely the opposite of free market capitalism.
Right. It is a fascistic move.
No, it is not. No, it is not. They're not taking on big Snickers because for cheating people. What the fuck are you talking about? There are all sorts of consumer protections that the government puts in place because without them, people would cheat people out of the contents of what's in there, and they would oh my God. And by the way, John Dooley in the Facebook thing, please try to actually type something. What do you expect? He's, I don't chastise anyone with ESL, but I was trying to make it out and I just couldn't do it in the chat room. I love trolls. I'm glad you're here, but please try to. When you're writing stuff out, if you're going to use pejoratives and the like, especially anti-gay pejoratives and stuff, at least be creative in the language as opposed to just saying the awful. So, anyways, back.
Government tells companies what to do. It's a move that fascists make.
Yeah, it's a move that fascists make. Also, so are shoulder pads. Listen to me, blades. Shoulder pads on outfits. That and any kind of jacket that has a strap across it. That's something fascists wear.
I'm concerned about this because
you don't have a better story to push. You're concerned because you're running out of talking points?
With all the public-private partnerships, the ones...
You mean like the ones that Trump formed for Operation Fart Steed?
That are going to get into trouble are not the ones that are doing the bidding of the American government now.
Yeah. Like M&M Mars?
Let me give you an example.
Like Ticketmaster?
New York State Attorney Letitia James has now filed suit against JBS USA Food Company. This is the world's largest beef producer, accusing it of fraudulent and illegal business activities and disgorgement of all profits and ill-gotten gains.
No, she's not charging them with disgorgement of all profits and ill-gotten gains. That's what she's going to seek as a remedy for whatever the fraudulent practice is. what's the fraudulent practice?
She's using the state's apparatus.
Hold on. Back the fuck up. Wait a minute.
Activities and disgorgement of all profits and ill-gotten.
Hold on. Fuck you.
Beef producer accusing of fraudulent and illegal business activities.
Hold on 1 second. I don't know why
and
it won't jump back.
disgorgement of
Sometimes
all
it's the full like 5 seconds or 10 seconds.
world's largest. Keisha James has now filed suit against JBS USA Food Company. This is the
JBS. Okay, let's give it a look then. The fact that she's doing it isn't important. It would be why. Okay, let's see. Letitia James, JBS Food Co. That should be enough. Sues world's largest beef producer for misrepresenting the environmental impact of their products. So they're lying about their environmental impact, which is false advertising. You don't have to do it. You could just go, we're the pollutingest beef company in the world, and fuck you, it's delicious. But they don't. They go, we're saving grass and people and grass and the sky, and it's staying blue because of we're putting corks in the assholes of our cows to stop methane from, and we at JB, Bessie, quit it. We at JBS, Bessie. Sorry, that was me. Attorney General James sues world's largest beef producer for misrepresenting environmental impact on of their products. Misled consumers and claimed that the company would achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2040. JBS greenwashed environmental harms and targeted consumers with fake sustainability claims to boost sales. Well, that would be the problem, right? If you're not going to do it, don't say you're going to do it. And if you're going to do it, don't try to muscle your way to the front of the line and outsell organic beef producers with your bullshit. Claimed that they filed a lawsuit against JBS USA Food Company and JBS USA Food Company Holdings, the American subsidiary of the world's largest producer of beef products, for misleading the public about its environmental impact. JBS USA has claimed that it will achieve net zero. We saw that part. Beef production emits the most greenhouse gases of any major food commodity. Is only sort of true, but okay. And animal agriculture accounts for 14.5% of annual global greenhouse gas emissions. That's like it prorated out over livestock size animals the world over, and this idea that if we didn't make cows, they wouldn't make themselves. And to which end I would say, tell that to the bison that used to roam the plains of America. There were obviously a lot more cow farts during that time, but whatever. Okay, in 2021, the JBS Group, global parent company, reported total global greenhouse gas emissions of over 71 million tons, more than the total emissions of some countries. Attorney General James seeks to stop JBS USA from continuing these false and misleading marketing practices, pay disgorgement of all ill-gotten profits, and penalties. As families continue to face the daily impacts of climate crisis, they are willing to spend more of their hard-earned money on products from brands that are better for the environment. And that's the key. The JBS is trying to muscle like local, meat producers in the United States who might be taking steps to, to mitigate these things, buying carbon credits, doing other stuff. And these motherfuckers are lying about it. That's what they're getting busted for. Why shouldn't we? Here's Glenn and Carol don't think that JBS should put environmentally conscious shit on their labeling at all anyways. That they shouldn't even have to lie about it. That it shouldn't fucking matter. That they don't believe in it anyways. So why the fuck should JBS have to put on its packages, we're good for the environment, we have a green plan, and we're trying to make sure that our cattle and all of our ranching is done in a sustainable way and all that kind of stuff, right? That they don't believe any of that should have to happen. But they do believe that JBS should have the right to lie about it to consumers who do have the option to buy meat from producers that are less environmentally damaging. And these assholes are like, well, this bigger company has more money for advertising, so their lie can be much bigger and more permeate everywhere, and they can push themselves to the front of the line and make sure that their products get to market. And by the way, they're not only just lying to consumers. Department store chains and grocery stores that want to put that, like Target. I don't know if they're carried in Walmart in the food area, but if they those companies want to prove that they're being conscious about the environment, they'll buy from companies that have it on the labeling. And if the labeling's a lie, they're forcing Walmart and Target and whoever the fuck, Kroger and whoever the fuck else, Ralph's, to lie on their behalf.
World's largest beef producer, accusing it of fraudulent and illegal business activities.
Lying in advertising. False advertising. Glenn, don't complicate it, dumb fuck. Notice how he's talking about it. It's really abundantly clear that it's false advertising. That's what they're being, what she's suing them over. False advertising. It's real fucking simple. Listen how he put false and fraudulent business activities. Like, just like they're going after Trump, It's like JBS paid off a porn star.
Accusing it of fraudulent and illegal business activities.
False advertising. Get to the fucking point.
And disgorgement of all profits and ill-gotten gains. She's using the state's apparatus to go after beef producers, but not for any other reason other than they say they are shooting for zero emissions by 2040. And she says that's fraud.
Yes.
No, she doesn't. That's not what the fuck she said. They're saying it and not doing it. It is fraud if you say you're doing something to trick the consumers into buying your product over someone else's product and you're fucking lying. What the fuck?
She's accusing them of what's quote unquote greenwashing. So that the state has put these ridiculous parameters around different companies.
That's not a parameter. You don't have to do it. You don't have to write on there that you're doing anything for the fucking environment. You don't. Shit, a lot of, you could actually say, you could have, fuck the environment beef patties for sale, and maggots would buy them over everything else. You would guarantee yourself, the same people that buy the fucking assholes lumpy pillows.
Lumpy pillows, kiss my ass.
Would buy the fuck the environment beef patties. Guaranteed. Same audience. Do a focus group, you dumb motherfucker. But you don't have to lie to people who actually do have an option that's less damaging to the environment just so you can steal their fucking money.
Companies, as we knew or had known, leaned into those and wanted to sound like they were complying. And so they...
Hey, no. You don't have to comply. It's not. There's no compliance legally there. Either you comply or you don't. You can make your case. Nobody's forced to do it. Not under the Paris Accord. Nothing. Nowhere. Like in any of these circumstances, you don't have a single beef producer who is forced to achieve net zero by 2040, or they can't produce beef anymore. Fuck off. You just can't lie about it to try and trick consumers into buying your brand over somebody who's actually doing it, even if you disagree with what they're actually doing. I'll give you an example. I think lean meats are a mistake. One of the things about having enough fat with the protein you're consuming is how your body actually absorbs it, like digesting the food. If you don't have enough fat involved in that process, it's not satiating, so you're still fucking hungry, so you'll eat a bunch of garbage on top of it. But along with it, your body, sort of, think of it as this is hyper layman's terms, cushions the protein as it goes through your system. The fat actually helps you absorb and digest it, right? So I don't eat lean meats. I don't do it. I think it's a mistake. Yes, fat is essential. There's no situation where we evolved to only hunt down animals that have very little fat on them. It's just fucking dumb. But if someone thinks Lean meats will make them healthier, whether they do or not, whether it's the placebo effect or whether they actually have an aversion and too much fat in their food makes their belly gurgle. Doesn't fucking matter. They have the right to buy lean meats. And if it says on the package, this is, 95.5 lean. It's 95% protein and 5% fat. There's 5% fat in this. This is super lean or whatever. And then they buy it and it's actually 80-20. That's a lie. Nobody says they have to sell it as 95.5. They could sell it as 80-20 because that's actually what it is. But if they sell 80-20 as 95.5, that's a lie. That's a criminal act. That's false advertising. And that's not even new. That's not even something. Good Lord. That's not even. And by the way, the amount of fat, not fat in your food isn't the point of this. The point is the labeling. People can choose, as long as the labeling is true, you can do whatever the fuck you want within reason, I suppose. Right? Cholesterol facing less scrutiny, starch facing more scrutiny. Yeah, cholesterol hasn't been a nutrient of concern since 2015. Point being is that if I want to eat 80-20 and I'm like, I like the extra fat in what I'm doing, and I buy it and it's actually 95.5 and it doesn't have anywhere near the fat that I'm hoping I'm consuming, and I'm actually counting my macros and my calories based on the idea, my macros will be all over the fucking place. Right? That's the point. What Carol and Glenn are arguing is that corporations and fuck it, anybody selling anything should have the right to lie to you. And if you, by the time you figure it out, you're fucked. That's the argument. Like, fuck you. If you don't have, I don't know, the ability to measure how much fat is in it on your own, then it's your ass.
Said, oh, we're going to do all of these things to help the environment. So now she's saying, no, it's fraudulent. You haven't done the things that we said, or at least in the way that we said. And, with JBS, it's a little bit tough, obviously, because they're this huge corporate conglomerate. And in some cases, they may have, created some issues with the independent farmers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Have they created some issues with the independent farmers? Oh, Glenn, are you going to come in there and try to defend the down-home farmers, the people you cosplay as during your fucking show?
But either way.
Yeah, either way. Even if they are lying and fucking local farmers by pretending to do what local farmers do on a massive corporate industrial scale, tough shit. No one has the right to stop them in a civil society with a functioning health department.
You're not rooting for the state here to come in. And this disgorgement of profits sounds, by the way, Glenn, a lot like what happened
Donald
to Trump. So this is
right. That's the only remedy they have. You can't fucking lock up a company.
Anything that you have made, we're going to confiscate.
Right. So don't cheat and lie when you're selling something, and it won't happen to you. Super fucking easy.
New York came for the National Rifle Association. I didn't say anything because
they throw gun shows after kids have been shot in an elementary school just to be assholes within 24 hours.
I didn't own a rifle. I wasn't a hunter, and I disagree with guns. Then they came for Donald.
No. The National Rifle Association, hasn't been about rifles and hunting since the fucking 70s.
Trump, but I didn't vote for him, so it didn't matter.
Oh, not beyond not voting for him. Not only do I not vote for him, I think he's a fucking scumbag. I want to clarify. It's not simply that I would care. I didn't vote for Romney, but if they went after him for this kind of shit, I'd be like, I don't think that's right. Because he didn't grab anyone by the pussy and brag about it.
Now they're coming for beef. And
Oh, they're not. No, they're not. They're protecting local beef producers. Literally, the local farmers in upstate New York, by the way, who produce cows. If you don't believe me, ask John Stewart. He has a farm in upstate New York. I guarantee he knows some of these motherfuckers. They're doing it right. And this giant company that's a multinational, by the way, has a subsidiary in the United States, but is not an American company by any stretch of the imagination. They or they wouldn't have just a subsidiary in the United States. They'd be an American company with subsidiaries in other fucking countries. Those fuckers are lying to screw local American farmers out of their position on the shelves in grocery stores.
You could go after JBS for unfair business practices, in my opinion.
Sure.
Because I'm a rancher and I see these. I believe there's absolute collusion with the three companies that are producing all of the beef in the country.
Right. And this would be one of them. And they're totally full of shit.
They're getting rich. The farmers are getting poorer.
Right. And you assholes she's trying to stop that. Oh my fucking God. Letitia James, the New York lady, is trying to protect the ranchers you pretend to give a rat fuck about from these predatory impacts of this giant multinational corporation. She's actually doing something about it. Within the law that's based on truth. They're lying about their environmental impact to try and basically con consumers out of their money. Fucking hell.
Ranchers are getting poorer. So I think you could go after that, but it would have to be legitimate.
It is.
You'd have to have the actual. I don't have the facts.
We know. You've been talking for 6 fucking minutes without any facts. Jesus Christ, man. Listen to yourself. The fucking story is fucking shit. This is from the Office of the Attorney General. This is the actual statement. These are the merits. This is when it came out. This is the content of it. This is their case. This is basically a version of the indictment. Here you go. JBS and JBS USA have used greenwashing and misleading statements to capitalize on consumers' increasing desire. That's what it is right there. Capitalize on consumers' increasing desire to make environmentally friendly choices. Claiming, now you don't have to cater to those things. You can say, fuck those people. I'm only selling to beef eaters who hate the world. Fine. Just do it. But you don't get to lie about it. Okay, so agriculture can be part of the climate solution. Bacon, chicken wings, and steak with net zero emissions. It's possible. We're not going to do it, but it is. Technically, we're not lying because it's possible someone else is doing it. We will cut our own emissions by 30% in 2030 and eliminate Amazon deforestation from our supply chain within 5 years. JBS will achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions, reducing its direct and indirect emissions and offsetting all residual emissions. They repeatedly misled consumers with these claims, while the company's executives told their industry peers that they needed to use messaging targeted to climate-conscious consumers in order to remain competitive. In reality, when making these promises, JBS Group and JBS USA had not calculated the company's total greenhouse gas emissions. They didn't even know what the fuck they were adding. They don't know how much they would have to dial it down, and therefore had no way of knowing whether they could successfully reduce those emissions to net zero by 2040. They have their communications. Continue to make these false claims despite receiving a warning from the Better Business Bureau's National Programs National Advertising Division, which determined that the company's evidence did not support the net zero claims it was making to consumers. The NAD recommended that JBS USA stop making these net zero claims in its advertising. This recommendation was affirmed by the National Advertising Review Board. So she didn't just jump on this out of fucking nowhere. And you can read this, you lazy fuck. And, like I said, Letitia James is taking action to protect local meat producers and ranchers and family farms in the United States, and specifically in New York State, from these predatory practices. And these dumb motherfuckers can't wait to just jump in front of this on behalf of that company. While going, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but it sounds something to me.
Could go after them for that and break that monopoly up, which I think is fair. But
Jesus Christ, you want to go against you're on the side of stopping a monopoly in the meat producing thing, but you don't want to see how you make the case for why they have to be broken up. One of the reasons is the egregious misuse of the power they have by accumulating all these places or allowing them to usurp business from these farms and basically choke them off so that they can buy them up at a lower price.
She's not. She's talking about the rainforest. What the hell does the rainforest have to do with New York?
I'll tell you what it has to do with New York. Do you think there are any ranches in New York? Do you think there are any cattle ranches in New York? Fuck, remember that story about the cow that escaped the slaughterhouse in Brooklyn? It was running around the fucking city and was adopted. Our lovely friends over at Farm Sanctuary bought him or bought her and released her onto the farm so she could live out her days with ginormous teats because she's a dairy cow. Remember that? Where the fuck do you think that cow came from? The rainforest?
Well, and not only that. So think about this is very war on small business like.
No, it isn't. It's the exact opposite.
Right? Because these bigger companies will have the capital base and the power
to advertise everywhere, to put up billboards and all this shit local farmers don't have. And on their fucking billboards, they're like, we're going to achieve net zero. We're the greenest green red meat company in the fucking green world. It's like fucking Christmas with all the red, green together forever and ever and ever.
Stand at least the first time around some of these
Yes.
Tests from the state. But if you are an independent farmer or you are a small business in some other arena and they come after you, that's it. You are wiped off the map.
Okay, first of all, these assholes are getting wiped off the map by JBS Group. These local farmers, these small businesses, these small meat processing plants, these small ranches are being knocked out by JBS USA and JBS, what is it? Yeah, JBS Group and JBS USA are destroying these small farms by lying about their impact to try and gain a market share they have not earned. Here's a good word for you. Earned, that they haven't bootstrap them. These dumb motherfuckers. I'm sorry, I'm tired of this. I'm running over time and it's aggravating me. The upside down world that Carol and Glenn live in right now is I very seldom do I get shocked by people who are this stupid. What did I punch with my left fist? What do you mean? Do I have a mark on my left fist? I don't think somebody's at like. I mean, I do have punchy knuckles, but I don't have any scrapes on or anything. I think I was just knocking my knuckles on the table earlier. But anyways, somebody was like, "What did you punch with your left hand?" I'm like, "Nah." Anyways, yeah, Glenn's worth $250 million. Yeah, he is a ranch for show. Fucking hell. It's from punching up. You're goddamn right. Thank you, Tobias. How the organic meat costs about $2 to make and the JBS is about 20 cents. Exactly, VJ Kodak. That's how they cheat. Because people are choosing the more expensive meat because of the impact. So what they do is they have this lower price meat automatically because they don't take environmental concerns into their process. And then they lie to everybody and say they do.